What is up, everybody? Star Wars Dad back for another video. Today we're going to be looking at the most recent update to the Broken Han list. Um, so the Young Han or Han 2 ramp deck from a few weeks ago. Obviously in the first video, it was really just more about ramping and just trying to get to Krayt Dragon as quickly as possible for fun, and it ended up being very powerful. But that's not like a consistently strong way. I mean, it's not going to happen every game. That's not, you don't want to rely on that as your win con. This list is very similar, but this list is much more well-rounded and balanced. It's not as focused on ramp. I think that original list had 14 ways to ramp and could have even added even more in there if you wanted to. This particular list has 3 Spark of Hope, 3 Resupply, 2 Laser Tech, and 2 Marauder as a pseudo ramp card. So I would say 8 consistent ways to ramp, and then Marauder is a occasional. So it's not as focused, but it has a healthier amount of ramp, which allows the deck to have more answers for more things built within it because there's more space. So let's just kind of break it down. So one of the struggles that this deck had was aggro. So I think a lot of people were constantly asking me, how do I beat aggro with that deck? They were having a lot of trouble, and and I think at the time I made this list, I think the Sabine Green lists weren't like refined or completely optimal, whereas they're much closer to optimal now with the Dark Sabers and the Cassians and everything that they've added in there, the Daring Raids, just to become extremely consistent and fast at pushing damage to your face. So originally I'd added in like I think it was just like a couple Consortium just to like increase the life gain a little bit. But since Sabine has become more optimal and just really refined, that the original version of this deck had a tougher time with Sabine. And when I first was playing this deck, I wasn't having any trouble with Sabine personally. But then when I picked this deck up again this past week just to kind of revisit it, so I was trying out Han Blue, which I liked, and I was just like, I was doing well with Han Blue, and I was like, I just don't. Why am I having trouble with this version? And it was because Han Blue has more life gain in it. Han Blue has like Yoda and Kanan, and you can throw Vigilance in there. It has Luke in there. It just has like the built-in life gain. And now this deck had Reinforcement Walker, of course, which is similar to what Luke does as far as life gain. Except Reinforcement Walker, even you get the life immediately. But what the problem I was having was a lot of my early units, like you can't just rely on Consortium and Sundari. You needed a little bit more than that, because Consortium, you don't always have the initiative, especially against a deck like Sabine. A good Sabine player is just going to claim the initiative so that you can't gain that life back. And they're going to deal with your life gaining threats, in whatever ways that they can to make sure that you're not consistently gaining life. So what I did was I added in 3 Echo. So Echo has been really, really strong. It's surprisingly strong. So what it does is just early game against Sabine, I do not care about ramping at all. I don't care about it in the slightest. Like if I have the turn 1 Gunslinger play, sometimes that makes sense, because then I can go like Laser Tech or Resupply on turn 2 and go straight into an ECL Wrecker on turn 3. And ECL Wrecker is really ECL Poe and ECL Wrecker are the way that we stabilize against them early on, as well as our early life gain. But what Echo does is Echo gives us another way to do that, because there are certain situations where if I have 2 Echoes in my hand and I ECL in an Echo, then Echo becomes a 6/6. And I can ECL it as a 6/6 and kill Sabine right when it flips. Now, obviously, that doesn't happen all the time. You don't always have 2 Echoes in your hand, but just the fact that that's another option is really strong. Playing Echo also works like if you have an Echo-based defender in play, and then you have an Echo-based defender in your hand, you can make the one in play a 6/5, which will trade with Sabine as well, so it forces them to think twice about attacking into the Echo-based defender. So that's another reason. Obviously, it still doesn't kill them if they have the Dark Saber, but it puts them, that's a lot more damage. So they're at that point they only have 2 HP left if they attack into a 6/5 Echo-based defender with the Darksaber, so much easier to kill it afterwards. Playing Echo by itself is still really strong because it's still a 4/4 that gains you 2 life consistently, just like Sundari does. So Echo and Sundari are not the easiest units to kill. So that gives me consistent life gain on the ground to pair with Consortium's occasional life gain if I'm able to claim the initiative. And then the other card that I felt like I really needed to add in because of how aggressive the format is was Smuggler's Aid. It fits so perfect for what this deck is trying to do, because when you're cheating units in, a lot of times you have 1 extra resource. So that's why Recruit is so good in here, right? But Smuggler's Aid just allows me to just randomly, because a lot of the games where I did lose to Sabine in the past, week or two, with the original version, it was because I'd get to like 17, 18 life, and I didn't have a way to get myself out of range, and they can just easily hit me for 8 damage. That's a number that's very easy to hit with Poe or Heroic Sacrifice. But Smuggler's Aid just consistently is a way I can sneak in a way to gain 3 life and just keep myself out of range, and pair that with the Sundari, the Consortium, and the Echo early on, and it's really, really made those matchups a lot better. Like, I feel like I'm always in the game, and I feel favored now. I feel favored against Boba. I feel favored against Sabine. It doesn't matter what color Sabine. And I do think it takes a lot of reps. I'm not going to sit here and say you can just pick up this deck and just go in there and kick Sabine's butt. You have to play this deck a lot. The reason that I have been stuck on this deck and not letting go of the idea of it being extremely competitive is because it has so much potential. Like getting, the ability to ramp, the ability to cheat things in with Han, having Poe Wrecker and Reinforcement Walker all in the same deck, and Krayt Dragon, like all the best green and red cards in the same deck, it just feels like it has a lot of potential. And that is still one of its strengths, is like getting to those strong cards and just taking over the game. A lot of games you still just win with Poe and Wrecker, and then a lot of games you just win with Reinforcement Walker. Krayt Dragon, the original list was just like, let's get Krayt Dragon on turn 4, which is still possible in here. It's not going to happen as much. You could still pull it off with the Spark of Hope play into a Laser Tech, into a Resupply, or another Spark of Hope. It's definitely possible if you line it up right. In some matchups, that's very strong, like against like Control. Like getting out the Krayt Dragon that early to force them to have to deal with it's a really strong advantage. It also just being able to get out like your Reinforcement Walkers or your Poes and Wreckers like really early and putting a ton of pressure on them while squeezing in another unit if you have that many resources is just really, really hard. I did adjust the sideboard a significant amount. That was always the area that was kind of like, I'm not sure what to do here. But as the meta is kind of shaped up and developed, I have more of an understanding of what I want to do in the sideboard. And I'll get to that here in a little bit. The other big difference in this deck, if you noticed, is tech. So tech is really, really awesome in here, because a lot of times early on, we don't need these expensive units like Reinforcement Walker and Krayt Dragon, right? Like, they're not a card we want to see on our opening hand. We're not going to get to them for 5, 6, 7 turns, potentially. So we really, in general, unless we have all the ramp spells and we are able to ramp without dying. So we want to resource them. So tech just gives us the option in specific matchups, and it's sometimes even against aggro if the game drags on, which it has happened a few times. But it just gives us that option to pull things out. And you can pull out anything with tech, not just units. So like you can pull out a resupply to help you get to a Krayt Dragon that's in your resources, or you can another card that I've toyed around with is Command, and the reason that it's not in the main list is because Laser Tech is just a little bit better because of its ability to ramp earlier, and earlier ramp is important because it helps us to get to ECL Wrecker out sooner. Like one resupply early on turn 2, and then we're ECLing out Poe. But there's some situations where like ECLing out Wrecker is better, like against Boba, for example, right? So that having that laser tech in there, especially against Boba when they like to ramp against us, like Boba Green, having that as an additional resupply is really, really nice just to kind of keep up with Boba and immediately trade with them when they pull out their Boba and ECL in the Wrecker, as well as kill another unit. Another thing about Wrecker, a lot of people, I've had a lot of comments about this deck because it got a lot of attention initially. They're always like, "Why is Wrecker in there? Like, isn't that that doesn't make sense when you're trying to ramp because you're defeating a resource." Well, first of all, you don't always have to defeat a resource. Like, and Wrecker is just a 7/6 at 6 resources, which is like Darth Maul but cheaper. So like, regardless of its ability, like, who cares? But the fact that its ability defeats a resource, first of all, a lot of times you're playing Wrecker with timely intervention later on. So at that point you're at 8, 9 resources. You don't care about defeating a resource. Even on the 6 resource turn, you don't care because you have so many ways to pump yourself up to get those resources back with all the ramp that you have, which is, to me, it makes this the perfect deck for Wrecker because I can defeat my own resources and easily recover those resources. So Wrecker is amazing in here. Wrecker wins me so many games. It's such a good defender. It's an aggressor. It's a removal spell. It's a 6 resource removal spell. Like, if you look at it that way, with 7/6 stats, like, Wrecker is one of the best cards in the game. I wouldn't, any red deck I'm playing 3 Wrecker. Like, that's just how I look at that card. But yeah, I mean, that card is amazing. So tech, going back to tech though, in those games that drag on longer, for example, Rey Red, Young Han Blue, where they're trying to discard and just hand disruption, mess with your hand size with pillage and force throw and things like that. Tech is amazing. You just resource it to protect it, and then you pull it out when you need to, and then you start pulling things out later in the game, right? Against control, it's great too. It's a way to replenish the board. It's a way to pull my Krayt Dragons out of my resources, or even my reinforcement walkers, or even just go wide. Sometimes going wide is the better option, depending on, when you get a feel for the game, what kind of removal spells they're playing. Sometimes going wide is better because then you're putting pressure on them from space and from ground, and it's hard for them to stop all the pressure. So tech is just really, really nice. It really helps those matchups. And it's also just really fun. It makes the deck even more fun because those games that last longer, like, I always have the threat of just pulling tech out and playing my resources to put on more pressure. We're already able to, like, smuggle out Reckless Gunslinger at any time to just do a damage and then get a 2/1, which is nice. So it kind of goes with that theme. I did toy around with Cassian in here too, and it was good, but I felt like tech was just better. Cassian was in here to help with the control matchup, but to me, tech just does more. So in the sideboard, you're bringing in your 3rd tech against, like, the Rey Reds discards, the Han Blues discards. You're bringing it in against control. The Fell the Dragons, you're bringing in against, like, Fett's Fire Spray decks. I think it's worth it. It's a 6 resource removal in here, which is not a problem. Like, we get to 6 resources, no problem. And it's totally worth it to kill a unit that is extremely troublesome. I have thought about the Assault Cruiser. It's a 7/8 with ambush that immediately kills the Fett's Fire Spray, steals the Fett's Fire Spray, puts it in our resources, and then we could pull it out with tech. Obviously, it sounds amazing on paper. The problem is that the Assault Cruiser is 8 resources, and that if I'm just bringing it in specifically for Fett's Fire Spray, then I really, really, just need to consistently get to 8 resources around the time that they're at 6 resources for it to matter. And I just don't think that works in here. It doesn't line up as nicely as you would hope. Home 1 is really the card that we want for that 8 resource space unit, just because it allows us to get back the majority of the units in our deck. We're getting back Echo Base, Sundari, Tech, which is huge in those control matchups and even mid-range matchups, discard matchups too. Bright Hope, Echo, Cohort, Marauder, Poe, and Wrecker. So I mean, it's just getting back the majority of the cards. And I think the matchups that we can bring in Home 1 for, like, Tech is an amazing card to get back, so that we can immediately try to continue to grow our board with Tech's ability. So it's just a better card. Like, in the room, so space is always a consideration. There's a way to find room for it. I think then we'd have to consider to dropping like one copy of Smuggler's Aid, and then maybe have one assault cruiser in the main for that, and then maybe drop like one pillage for the second assault cruiser. I think that's a way to fit it in. I feel like that my answers for those decks are already strong though, so I think they're strong enough. I think assault cruiser is definitely a better answer as far as like what it does, but the cost is just, it's not efficient for, it's not going to work out all pretty and nice where you get to use that card on the same turn that Fett's Fire Spray comes out to immediately just ambush in and kill it, and then steal it, ramp up your resources, and then just have all this awesome synergy with tech. Like, I think it's worth testing more, but I think because things are so aggressive right now, it's just really hard to justify that, especially when Home 1 is just a really, really strong card. Not to mention that the fact that it gives everything restore. So having just 3 Home 1 in the sideboard is just more important than fitting in an assault cruiser for a Fett's Fire Spray. We already have Bright Hope and Marauder, and those two actually do pretty well against Fett's Fire Spray, because Bright Hope survives and takes a hit, and then Marauder can come in and finish it off. So we have that answer, and then Fell the Dragon. So Fell the Dragon, I think, fits for what we need it for in that matchup specifically. And then against Control, it's for Avenger. Avenger is the card that is really hard for us to deal with. If we don't have an answer, there's an argument that you might even want 3 Fell the Dragons just for that card, especially with Kira Green becoming more of a staple at the top of the meta. That just means we're going to see more Avengers. I think Iden Green is going to be right up there with Kira Green. I think they play so similarly that, and they play the same cards in the main list for the most part. And just like, I mean, when you look at like the blue villain decks, they have Overwhelming Barrage, which is like the best card in the game. Then they have Darth Vader, it's one of the best cards in the game. Then they have Snoke, an amazing card, one of the best cards in the game. Then they have Avenger, an amazing card, one of the best cards in the game. And then they have the best removal in the game with Fell the Dragon, Takedown, Power of the Dark Side, even Rival's Fall. So you're going to see that deck a lot. So there's an argument that 3 Fell the Dragon is what you need to handle those types of decks as an answer. Obviously, you have other answers built within the deck, but having that 6 resource removal just to deal with that big threat that can kind of take over the game against you, like Avenger specifically, with removal is just really hard. I love Kira Green and Iden Green because you go Snoke into Barrage, which is amazing, and then you go into Avenger, and then you just sit there with removal and you just close the game out. There's nothing they could do. So you have to have an answer for those decks, and there's an argument that the 3rd Fell the Dragon is what you need. The 3 Pillage are in there for the Ray Red decks. Personally, I hate discard decks. I've always hated them. I know it's like you get into that argument of like, it's a viable win con and you're just getting your opponent to deck out. But to me, it's like, if I'm making my opponent discard all their cards, it's really annoying and it's just not fun for my opponent. And I always want my opponent to have fun too, or else it's not fun for me. So that's why I've always hated them, if that makes sense. But so anyways, I'm bringing in 3 Pillage to deal with those discard decks because, if they're going to, force me to discard fun cards from my deck, then I'm going to force them to discard fun cards from their deck. It's also really good against Control as a way to when they get those lower hand sizes, if they don't have a Dr. Pershing out, when they're trying to get to those big things to deal with us with our removal, then we come in there and remove their hand to force them into a situation where if they want to keep resourcing to get up to those Snokes and Avengers, that they're going to have to get rid of one of the cards that they draw. So they're only going to have 1 playable card each turn if we can get them down to an empty hand size. So I think it's a very strong card against Control, especially when we pair it with all the other things that we have in here, which is Early Pressure, and then Krayt Dragon and Reinforcement Walker and Poe, specifically. Wreckers too, but really all of our strong win cons. And then we're bringing in Home 1 against them. Home 1 is going to come in against other things as well, but it's mainly in here for Control to help us replenish our board after a board wipe. And then the third Krayt Dragon is coming in against those mid-range and control decks because we do ramp faster and get to that Krayt Dragon quicker, so it's one of our best win cons against certain decks. Obviously, Palpatine is one of the worst matchups for this deck. I think it's winnable, but it's not easy. It's very difficult. You don't want to see a Palpatine if you're playing this deck. Every deck has a weakness. This deck says Palpatine. Personally, I think Palpatine is amazing anyways, and I think it's always just figuring out the aggro matchup to help Palpatine get to the top level. But I think as we go further on in this set 2, I think people will start to figure that out, and you'll start to see a lot of Palpatine decks. So that's the one reason why this deck might not be as prevalent, is because as more Palpatine become, decks that you're going to run into, that's a really bad matchup, because basically the whole concept of this deck is to ramp into big things and play them out and damage them. And your Palpatine's like, sure, I'll take that damaged unit, and I'll take that one. And Palpatine ramps as well, so they're keeping up with our ramp, and then they're stealing our big things, they're change of hearting our big things, and just killing them and drawing a card. And then they're playing big things like a Reinforcement Walker and Devastator. So it's not a great matchup. It's kind of like our Achilles heel in the format. But to be honest, everything else feels like I have a chance. And you'll kind of see that in the video today. I tried to play like more matchups than I usually do, because I just want to show you like the versatility and how balanced this deck is, and how much better it has gotten since the original list. I'm excited to show you guys. As always, please like and subscribe. On the community page, go to the 2,500 subscriber giveaway, where there'll be 4 lucky winners. Make sure to post what decks you think are the best decks in the format, or what you think is the best deck in the format, or will be by the end of set 2. And make sure to subscribe so you have a chance at winning one of those 4 different prizes. But let's get into some games and see how this updated version does. Alright, up against the Sabine Green. No mulligan. We're going to let go Krayt Dragon and Tech, I think. I think Tech is not... So Tech is like one of those cards where it can absolutely matter in these matchups, but it does not happen very often. Whereas Laser Tech is probably just going to get resourced anyways, but there might be an opportunity where there's a turn for us to get it out there, so we're just going to keep that option open. Of course, they play a space unit here. We're going Marauder. No, I can't go Marauder, I'm sorry. What am I talking about? Okay, yeah, so we're just getting rid of the Tech. So, figured that would happen, but I'd like to keep that option open as long as you can. Alrighty, so we're going to get our value with Sundari in case they have a ECL, which they could. Smuggler's Aid is going to be really important in this matchup, so we are not going to resource those unless we absolutely have to, just because we could squeeze it in very easily to keep that life gain going, to keep them out of reach of getting lethal. Okay, that's a definite Marauder coming in next turn. Double Sundari is going to be pretty good though against them. Okay, we're gonna play Marauder and kill Red 3 here, and then follow that up with a Poe Dameron turn. Echo Base could be useful at some point, so best thing about the Marauder here is we'll cheat it in, it'll kill Red 3, and then it will survive to take another space unit out. Okay. Okay. Nice. They could have K2SO here, I think, is a card. I could ECL it in. And remember, we have a Smuggler's Aid for probably the 6 resource turn, I would imagine. Okay, he's ECLing in K2SO. Or a space unit to kill Marauder, I would imagine. Yep, K2SO, okay. That's fine, we'll just trade with the K... Well, depends on what he does here. Okay, yeah, so we're just going to go into his K2SO and go ahead and just get that thing off the board. Totally fine with that trade. Sure, it's worth it. So as of right now, I'd say everything is going the way we want it to go. He flips Sabine. We immediately ECL and kill Sabine. Okay. That's actually fine. Especially because we just drew another one. I think we can let Echo Base go. And since we're ECLing in Poe here, well, is it better to ECL in Poe? Yeah, because we don't want that to get Dark Sabered, so. Do we want to discard any of these cards? No. Okay, just take out Sabine. We're going to take 3 more. But we have Smuggler's Aid and we have Sundari. Just go ahead and kill that. Okay, claim initiative. We'll trade with the Poe. Echo Base isn't bad. Echo's not bad either. But I like Echo and Sundari here. I want to save Wrecker for a timely turn, which we don't have a timely yet. So we'll just trade with Poes. Because we're just playing defense here. Okay. Yep, we're gonna do this. And we will get rid of resupply and kill that. It's totally worth it. I think a lot of times, yep, good game. So a lot of times people say to me like, well, why do you have Wrecker in there? Like, isn't it counterintuitive to destroy your own resources? Like, no, like, this is actually the perfect deck for Wrecker for multiple reasons. For one, a lot of games you just win the game with Wrecker. But for two, you have so much ramp in here and ways to recover your resources that it makes even more sense to play a deck where you can destroy your resources and do 5 damage to a ground unit. So the plan here was, you know, obviously they have to deal with Wrecker now. They've already ECL'd. We have the same amount of resources as them because we just destroyed one. So they very well could play their own Wrecker, but if they did, we would just immediately trade with it, and then we would play our life gaining units again. We'd probably cheat in Sundari and play Echo at full power, and then we're still holding on to Smuggler's Aid. So we're sitting there with 3 ways to gain life, and we have a 7/6 on board, so we're in good shape. Alright, up against Sabine Red. No mulligan. Looks like it was a super strong hand for this matchup. So we're like go Reinforcement Walker and Laser Tech. So we have 2 life gain, a Sentinel, and an Ambusher. So we're probably going to be conservative with these to hopefully keep them alive for longer than just 1 hit. That's a good card. So good card for Echo Base to take a hit from. Play Echo Base, and then if they do the Sabine's ability, we'll just swing it with Echo Base, which they did not. Okay, easy choice here. We're just gonna let 1 Wrecker go. We're saving Wrecker though. I mean, Wrecker's a really good card to have in this matchup. Yeah, we're just gonna play Sundari at full HP. Now they don't have ECL, which is one of the things that makes this matchup a little bit stronger for us. Marauder would be a really good card for us here. And another Sundari is good. Just gonna swing in, gain some life. Probably just drop Echo here. May discard a card from your hand. Give 2 experience tokens to a unit in play with the same name as the discarded card. That is actually pretty relevant and disgusting. So we are going to do that. And that is one of the reasons why Echo has been added. Okay. Guess Echo is dying now. Oh no, he just defeated my upgrades. Nice! Isn't that nice just to have the perfect answer in your hand? Wow. Oh god, sometimes, man, this game, sometimes just makes me upset. Sometimes. We're gonna ECL Poe here. There's no reason not to. Especially because we had to discard one of our life. I think I got so excited about the fact that no, I want both of those cards. That we were going to be able to pump up the Sundari, that I just didn't even think, oh yeah, they might have aggression, to completely just annihilate that. And they have a second one. That's so nice. Isn't that really nice when you have all the aggressions? I swear every time I play against this deck on Carabas, they have all the aggressions. Just like back to back to back. Alright. Sundari is definitely keeping us in this game. It'd be nice if they don't draw their 3rd aggression here. I think, honestly, like every time I've played against Sabine Red, they've had 3 aggressions recently. We are going to play Modded Cohort and just immediately kill that. I don't really want to lose a resource. I don't want to help them out too much here. Reckless Gunslinger is not exactly what I'm looking for. Reinforcement Walker is, though, which we are going to immediately play. So that will help us stabilize here. Alright. Play your... Nope, just want to heal. And get ourselves out of range of death as we inch closer to winning the game. And I honestly think every time I play this deck too, if they didn't have the aggressions back to back to back, then the matchup would just be so much more in our favor. It's really the card that keeps them in the game. Go down to 17. I mean, we want to gain life and put pressure, so see what our opponent does here. Because I'd rather claim the initiative than attack in for 3, because we have lethal anyways, depending on what they do. Okay, that is... so either way here, we kill Ketsu on you, or do we just go down to 14? Let's just claim the initiative. Just go down to 14. I think that's just going to be hard for them to deal with. Krayt Dragon is a card. Actually, let me undo... Well, we're probably just playing Krayt Dragon, right? What just happened? Whoops. Alright, I think I did that. Didn't mean to do that. Okay. We're resourcing Wrecker here. Alright, we're just going to attack in, face. No, we don't care. We're going down to 14. Then we're gonna cheat in Krayt Dragon. Okay. Did we just kill this? Yeah, we just kill this now. Because we don't want him to get in for extra damage. Okay, up to 29. Okay. And then we claim the initiative, and there's nothing our opponent can do at this point. So. Strong showing from the deck. Those back-to-back aggression plays, though, really kept the game closer than it should have been. I'd say in general this is a very favorable matchup for us just because they don't have the ECL. Alright, so we have the turn 1 Gunslinger. Turn 2 Poe. No, I don't want a mulligan. So let's go... Let's let go of second Poe and recruit, I think. Could also just play Echo Base, or Echo, I'm sorry, on turn 2. Okay. Alright, so we're going to take a little damage here. Smuggler's 8 is good. Yeah, we're going to have to let the recruits go, unfortunately. Okay, we could ECL Echo here. I think we're just going to play Echo though. Pass on that. Okay, looks like he's attacking our Echo? No. Okay. So first thing we're doing here is echoing into Sabine. And then if he deploys, okay, so we'll go there, gain 2 life. No, yellow's advantage against us obviously is that they have sneak attack, surprise strike, and 30 life. So, pass. I mean, if he doesn't want to do anything this turn, that's a huge plus for us. Okay, so we will definitely just kill that. Yes. Pass. Pass. Pass, yeah. We have ambush space units that we can choose a card to discard. Okay, I guess it's resupply. It's an interesting choice of cards there. Okay, here's Sabine. Alright, claim the initiative. Sabine is attacking into Echo or Poe. I'm guessing. So we have the initiative. So Echo makes the most sense. Okay, he just traded with Poe. Okay, I'll take that trade all day long. I didn't flip Han, but that was on purpose. We don't need that. Now we're just looking for our big stuff, really. Okay. That is not a rebel. ahead and gain 3 life with Smuggler's Aid. Go ahead and play this. Oops, let's undo that. Let's undo that and let's just deploy, actually. Okay, and then we will kill that with Modded Cohort. Alrighty. I think we're in pretty good shape here. That's a good card. Do we have any timelies? We do not. Honestly, I'm not going to resource either of those right now. We're just going to go in with Echo first to gain our life. Then we are going to see what our opponent does. Okay, so we're going to play that. Okay, then that. Okay, well, I mean, that's a thing, right? He kills Consortium. Again, it's fine because it's taking away damage to our face. Okay. Playing the initiative. We are swinging in for 13 damage this turn on the ground, and we have a way to gain 2 life. We could also draw into a reinforcement walker here. Okay. I think we're gonna let Modded Cohort go. I want to play tech and then have more resources available to grab things. What do we have in here? Okay, we have that. That's an option. That's an option to close the game out if we get... Sorry, what's happening? I think he didn't mean to do that. I mean, we just have game here. Okay. Okay. Guess our opponent didn't have anything on the ground to deal with things. So, pretty dominant again, but again, I think Smuggler's Aid is just really, really helping us against... Alright, I mean, if we turn to resupply, we have Poe. I'm not sure how good that is. I feel like we need things in space because we're playing against this. Yeah, that's much better. Alright, turn 1. I think we can let Timely go and Smuggler's Aid. We just resupply. I think we want to keep that just to squeeze it in somewhere. Play tech. Play Sundari next turn. Yeah, I mean, they're going to get off to a fast start. Marauder's going to be good on turn 3, most likely. Okay, ISB Agent is a weird card. I wasn't expecting that. I mean, I guess it makes sense if you're doing that. Yeah, because then it'll... kill tech, but I'm not too worried about that at all. Just go face. Okay, he trades with tech, that's fine. Tech was a decoy. Okay, there's the card. Okay, we're gonna use Marauder instantly. We don't need Krayt Dragon. Okay. We're gonna play Marauder. Okay. Yes. He could give that a token. I mean, don't really see the point. Okay, well that's a thing. But again, he's not going to our face, so that's all. This is good. Our bigger units are much scarier than his. Another tech. think we're just going to put that in the resources to protect it. Can deploy this. Gonna resupply. We can play Reinforcement Walker next turn, which is awesome. Play back-to-back Reinforcement Walkers. This turn we'll play Reinforcement Smuggler's Aid if he goes to our face. This card has really been like the sneaky card that helps this deck to stabilize and get to the big stuff. Okay, I mean Barrage is a thing. Does 5 damage, kills Marauder and Han. Okay. We're just gonna play Resupply. Yeah. He flips on 5, right? Okay. Interesting. So I guess we don't need that. Just pass. I mean, if he wants to attack him with Tarkin, then we'll just use Smuggler's Aid and let him... Does it really matter? I mean, he's just gonna claim the initiative, right? It doesn't really matter, I think. We just save the Smuggler's Aid, claim the initiative, play the Reinforcement Walker. That thing's still gonna die. Yep. We don't need that. Okay. I'm just gonna go back to 0. Okay, that's a card. I mean, that's a good sign. That means he doesn't have the Phantom. I mean, at this point, we're just going to start drawing with Reinforcement Walker because we want to look for space help. That's the only thing I could see that could cause us to lose, yeah. But I mean, 2 Reinforcement Walkers is going to be pretty hard for him to deal with the card advantage in the life gain. Alright, Wrecker is not bad here. Bright Hope isn't bad. Should play Bright Hope at 4. Slows things down in space a little bit. Pass on that. Okay, that's a Sentinel. That's fine. Yeah, we want to draw that. We do want to draw that because we're going to ECL that in. Could have ECL'd Wrecker here, but we do have a timely for next turn, so we can timely Wrecker next turn. Attack with a space unit, and it kills the ground, okay? And then we'll just ECL here and take out his space unit. Alright. Claim the initiative, and we will timely with Wrecker to get the Moff Tarkin off the board. Alrighty. Nice, and our Sentinel in space is strong now, and we have a Consortium here too. Alright, opponents had enough. Yeah, I mean, we kept him at 2 damage. We couldn't get going. So, felt good. And then we had tech waiting in the wings to pull out. I mean, we had lots of options. When we pull out tech, then we're gonna just eventually get Krayt Dragon down. So, game was closing in on our opponent fast. We had a reinforcement walker as well as another play, so just a lot of options. All right, up against Fennec Green. No, we got Echo Base. We can put Timely and Smuggler's Aid in our resources. I don't know. I might keep Smuggler's Aid out here. I'm trying to think. I kind of want the Recruit, but I think everything else is pretty important. Recruit can help me find a specific thing, like especially because I don't have space units right now. He could have like, okay. Okay. He's gonna have a buttload of ambush. We don't need laser tech here. We're just gonna go Sundari. I mean, yeah, I think Recruit's still more valuable than laser tech. See if he initially just ambushes into Echo Base, which is very possible. We're waiting on him to resource right now. Okay. I've never played against this deck. It's definitely interesting. Just ambushing from everywhere. Okay, that's a thing. So we'll just go there. Fennec flips on 5. I still think ideally we want to ECL Wrecker. Could play Recruit, cheat out Sundari, but let's just be conservative. Not get greedy. Marauder's a good draw because we could play that anytime now. Honestly, Echo is not a bad card to ECL and against them either, just because we know they don't have Wrecker and Poe, so it could kill Fennec. But Wrecker's still the best card to do that. Ideally. Okay, so see what he does here. I mean, he needs to kill Echo Base. If he ambushes in something to kill it, then we'll just kill Fleet Lieutenant with Sundari. See what he does though. Looks like he's ambushing. Does that have ambush? Yes. Oh, he exhausted a ground unit. Okay. Well, I still think Echo's the best play for us. He just claimed the initiative. That, I don't think he meant to do that. No. Okay. Oh no, I'm sorry. He didn't claim the initiative. That was just the Echo's trigger. Okay. Cool. We're claiming the initiative. All right, we're trading with Sundari. We have Poe now too. I don't think we still have Marauder too. I think we just want to gain life and kill things first. We might use Poe to kill Fennec so that Echo can stay alive. I think that's a good idea. Alright, so using Sundari, kill this, gain some life. If he attacks with Alliance here, we're just going to attack with Echo to his face and gain 2 life so that it negates that damage, keeps us at 7, then we'll... Okay, if he's flipping Fennec, okay, he's doing that, which is interesting. This keeps us at 7. If we attack him with Poe, that's not ideal. Yeah, we'll just gain the life. Okay. And could just play Marauder here, I think I did that wrong. Yeah, I did that wrong. That's okay though. Doesn't matter. Okay, we're just gonna ECL and Wrecker next turn. Can deploy this first. Take our 4. Alrighty. And I think we're in good shape. Got another Echo there, which is nice. Could ECL in Poe so we could play Recruit. I think that's pretty good. I think I'm okay with that too. We're kind of gonna play Recruit first, I think, so we can keep using our units on the ground to kill things on the ground, or kill units that he plays here as we stabilize. Remember, we have Smuggler's Aid and Timely Intervention is important. Okay. Let's play Recruit first. Modded Cohort is pretty good. Poe's fine. I think I'd rather have Modded Cohort. I really want Reinforcement Walker, but okay. Did we just claim the initiative here? I think that makes sense. Because we can Timely Wrecker. We're close to Krayt Dragon too, but I'd rather just Timely Wrecker here. And kill both their units. Feels pretty monstrous. Oh, that was wrong. Oops, undo. That's wrong. I miscalculated there. Whoops. Okay, we're claiming the initiative. So we're still gonna just attack him with Poe then. We could, yeah, because Sundari we're not really worried about Sundari here. We get Krayt Dragon next turn, okay. We could play Wrecker here and just kill a thing. Or we could just play Modded Cohort. So we kill Sundari, we stay alive, we force him to trade with us. Trade with our Poe if he wants to kill it. Okay, that makes the most sense. Okay, we're either taking 4 here or we're not. We'll see. I think if we take 4, we're gonna cheat in Modded Cohort, trade with the Rogue, and then play Echo. Potentially, or we're just gonna play Wrecker. Depends. Okay, the Guard comes in with the ambush. Interesting. Okay, well that makes our decision easy. So we're just gonna do this and keep this alive, actually. Actually, that was wrong. Undo. Sorry. Why do I keep messing up, man? Okay, that's what we wanted to do. I misclick all the time. That's a lot of damage. Okay, now we can ECL and Wrecker. Okay. We need 2 Krayt Dragons. Good lord. Okay. Finally restabilizing here. Alright, I mean, all we're gonna do this turn is play defense. Okay, that's definitely an annoying card. Because if you have the initiative, he gets 6. So he gets them for 6 damage if he has the initiative there. Okay, so we can kill him with Poe here, which is what we want to do. If he ambushes in and kills Poe, that's the worst thing that could happen. Okay. We'll discard a Krayt Dragon. Oh, Jesus. Why does this keep happening? Hack in. Pass. Krayt Dragon. Boom. Okay, then we're going to... Why did that not do... Okay, there we go. Tack in. Tack in. Alright, now we have lethal on board. And we have a reinforcement walker. Wow, the amount of misclicks I had that game. I still feel like it's not very user-friendly down here. Like, there's just something about it that throws me off, I guess. Okay, we're at 9 resources. Fennec is ambushing in something to gain some life. Okay. We're just going to play this and gain 3 life. Okay. Do we have lethal? No. We don't. So we'll take our chances with... Okay. Good game. Yeah, I was going to say, once we get Reinforcement Walker out at this stage of the game, it's good. I mean, the good thing is we had answers at every corner of like ways to gain life and stabilize. Like here we're gonna Wrecker, get him for 6, go to 20. Then we're gonna attack with Han, go to 23, and then it's, you know, good game. So we also could have just played Krayt Dragon, but I felt like Reinforcement Walker was safer. We also could have played the Smuggler's Aid to gain 3 life, and then played an Echo was another option of. So, but I mean, Reinforcement Walker does that both. Alright, playing against an aggro Bo-Katan Red deck here. No, I like our hand. We're gonna go Krayt Resupply, I think. I don't know. Definitely Krayt, but I'm trying to think if I want to keep the Resupply. Just play the Echo base. I think I'm going to keep the Resupply as a way to ramp up at a certain point, potentially if there's an opportunity that presents itself. I think tech we can always pull out. It's not really doing a lot for us anyways right now. I mean, one of the advantage of playing a deck like this for us is that they don't have ECL. And that's always going to be the advantage. I like this card, I like this card. So if we don't play ECL, we can play Echo here. Yeah, I mean, we could play one of the 2 4-drops this turn, depending on what our opponent does. So, and again, we're just trying to play defense to get to our bigger stuff. Okay, that's an interesting card. Would have been a good resupply turn, but we'll just squeeze out an Echo here. And pass. We can play Marauder this turn. There's a nice Smuggler's Aid. Okay, go in for face. Bo-Katan is going to kill that. Okay. And then we're going to just kill this guy. Play Marauder at full strength next turn. Okay, pass. You can kill Modded Cohort here. Again, I don't think we need Gunslingers. We can always pull those out later. So he attacks him with Fang Fighter, then he kills one of our things. So we go here first so that it doesn't, if he kills it, it's fine. He flips on 6, right? Let's go face. Okay, Mandalorian, that's fine. Okay, take that out. And then we deploy and kill. Okay. Go to 23. I think we're in good shape. And we have Wrecker for ECL now. So, recruit's nice. I think at this point we're just going Wrecker though. Trying to think. I guess because we have ground pretty established, we'll keep the Bright Hope in case he has a way to kill the Marauder. We're gonna attack with Marauder first. Okay, he pulls out Bo-Katan. We might just ECL this, yeah. Yeah, we can do that. We can get rid of one of these things. So we can get it for more damage. Nice. And that will seal the deal. Good game. Pretty dominant there. Alrighty. Got the turn 1 spark play, so no mulligan. Turn 2 Poe, turn 3 Wrecker. Does help when you get that. But against aggro, it's not always like the greatest thing. Alright, so we're gonna resource 1, Echo, and I guess Wrecker just because. Oh my goodness, what a game. What a game. Alright, against Boba Yellow here. No mulligan, I'll let go of the reinforcement walker. Bright Hope's gonna be pretty important. Get Sundari out there. And Modded Cohort's gonna be important. Spark of Hope is nice as like a sneaky card. We can pull this out to gain life from our. I think we'll just pull that out. I have been liking it in my hand, but I do want to have a little bit of ramp against them because it does, especially because they could just kill things pretty easily. Like if they have Greedo McClunky here, we just die. Okay. Bright Hope is definitely important. There's another one. We don't want Gunslinger, not anytime soon. Could squeeze out the Bright Hope. I think it's worth it early on. I think it is worth it. He has to have Surprise Strike to kill that. Corndog Steve. If they play Dr. Evazan or something like that this turn, then we'll. Okay. I'm just gonna go face. Sure. Claim initiative. Okay, I mean, Consortium's a good card to have. We could play Spark of Hope plus Consortium this turn. I do want to keep the Wrecker. I also want to keep this just because we have one in the hand. I want to have one in our hand. Okay, so what are we getting rid of? That's the question. Cohort's good too. To deal with like a 4 LOM. Do we have any timelies in here? No. Okay, I think it's gonna be Smuggler. I like the idea of Spark of Hope in here because we can surprise our opponents with a Han Solo flip. So we'll go Face. Okay, then we will play Spark of Hope. We can cheat out Consortium. Okay, he claimed the initiative, that's fine. We go in for damage. Pass. Okay, awesome. Now we have Wrecker, we have Cohort. Obviously Consortium is going to die, but it's going to trade with the Fleet Defender, I would imagine. It's fine. Totally fine. Okay, we're going to go face. Take 4. Oh, we're going to ACL. Are we killing a thing? Yes, I believe so. Let's let go of the resupply. Nice, get in for more damage. Okay. He did that on Wrecker, I guess. And we're so far ahead at this point, though I don't think that it matters if the Phantom gets in for 6 damage here, whatever. Okay. He did no good to me, I think, on the Wrecker, yeah. Okay, but there's the card. The reinforcement marker, so we have that too if we need it. At this point we're just going here though, just to gain that life back. No good to me dead on that. Okay. Just gonna play Echo. We discard a card of a card in play. No, there's no. That is a really it's a really good ability in here. Sometimes when it hits, it just like pumps up things. Yeah, that's gonna do it though, man. Good game. Yeah, this deck's been really dominant. I really don't know how else to say it. The subtle changes we've made to this list to adapt to the metagame. This deck is sneaky good, and I think you should consider playing this in your tournaments. It just needs that life gain built into it because of how aggressive the format is. The smuggle mechanic is disgusting. That's a really good mechanic for discard. The deck feels very well rounded. It's also a very good mechanic for control. And then we're bringing in like pillage and home 1 and the third tech against control. So I think we're well suited across the board. We have ramp, we have Krayt Dragon, we have Wrecker and Poe, we have life gain. Like, it's a very well-rounded deck, and I think it's more about you getting the reps in with this deck and really just putting in the work in the matchups. I have played this deck probably more than any other deck. This is like my baby, so. But I fully believe in the power of this deck. I'm sure, I mean, Palpatine is clearly the worst matchup for this deck, but that doesn't mean that it's not winnable. You just have to change your approach and just go more low to the ground and just go wide and not bring out the big stuff until you're ready to win the game with like a Wrecker or a Krayt Dragon. But you don't want to do that, you know. Krayt Dragon you really want to keep to yourself until they've already flipped the Palpatine. But even still, they have, if it's Palp Yellow, they have Change of Heart. So you have to watch out for that. But that matchup is definitely the hardest matchup for this deck, just because our whole thing is bringing out huge units, and they're just like, we're going to take those units. And that's why Palp is so good, especially Palp Yellow. I really think that deck's going to get a lot more attention in the coming month or so. Like, I think people are going to figure out how to adapt it to the metagame, and it's going to really just start having a lot of good results like it did the first quarter, so. The first set, I mean. But yeah, I mean, this deck's been awesome. Give it. So back for the post-game wrap-up. I mean, to be honest, once I made these changes, because I had played this deck a couple of days ago, and I was having trouble, and it was kind of frustrating because I was like, whoa, what's going on here? But once I made the changes, added in the Smuggler's Aid and the 3 Echo, I mean, it was just like completely dominant against everything we played against today. I don't think there was one matchup where I was like, about to lose or felt like I was going to lose. I think we went 7-0. We did not play against Kira Green, and we did not play against Palpatine. I can show you guys a Palpatine matchup, but it's not pretty. Kira Green, though, I think is very winnable. We didn't get to see that one today. I think it's more of a best of 3 winnable. Like, I think their main board is probably better set up to beat our main board, but once we bring in literally everything from our sideboard against a deck like that, I think we are much better suited to match up against them. I think the Fel the Dragons, the Pillages, the 3 Krayts, and the 3 Home Ones specifically are going to just be very impactful. Those are probably some of the most important cards in that matchup. The 3 Tech are going to be really nice as the game drags on, just to keep filling up our board and putting pressure on them. I mean, it's gonna go to the late game every single time. Like, we don't put enough pressure on early to put them on their back foot. I mean, it's possible, but it's not likely that it's going to happen. What's more than likely going to happen is we're going to get to 8, 9, 10, 11 resources, and it's going to be if they get the Avenger, and if we have the Fel the Dragon, or if we have the Krayt Dragon, or if we have the Home One. So I do think that matchup is close. Obviously, I think it requires a lot more testing, but I think this deck is well suited. I think it takes a lot of reps, though. You got to really get a feel for how to play it. The 15 ways to gain life is extremely important, and it really helps all the aggro matchups, like, a lot. Like, some of them today you saw in the video, like, they just couldn't get past a certain point of damage on us. We just kept putting so much restore out there that they couldn't get past 10, 15 damage, and that's exactly what we want. So that's, it works. So, and then we're eventually just hitting our big stuff, and they can't deal with that. It's too many big things to deal with. So, and then of course we're cheating units out, which is always one of our advantages. So when you're playing against Sabine, you're playing against these aggro decks, one of the things you have to consistently do is save your ECL. Don't just go blowing your ECL because you have the ability to kill something with Consortium and space on turn 2. Like, yep, you can kill an A-Wing, sure, but, like, is that really worth it? And the answer is no, not from testing. You always want to save your ECL for Poe and Wrecker, like 95% of the time. There's occasional times where it makes sense to go earlier than that, like I said, the Echo play, but you're saving your ECL for Poe or Wrecker so that you can immediately kill Sabine. You do want to have, like, a situation as the best that you can. You want to try to match and flip Han on the same turn as Sabine so that you can ECL the Poe. You're still able to kill it even if it has a Dark Saber because it has 8 HP, so Poe can kill it the following turn. So that's still a viable way of doing it, but they are going to get in for more damage unless you had a Sentinel on the ground with Echo or something, or if you already established some life gain. So it still works out okay, even if they get the Dark Saber playoff. But in general, you're saving your ECL for those 2 cards. Those 2 cards help get the momentum of the game back in your favor because you're just trying to slow them down those first 4 or 5 turns so that they don't run you over. But with all the added life gain, that's not happening as much, and your chances of turning the corner are much better. And honestly, it feels favorable once you've put in the testing for this deck. But you have to put in the reps. Like, you cannot just be like, play against aggro 10 times and think that you're just going to have it figured out. You need to play like 50 times against aggro decks, like Sabine Green and Boba Green and Sabine Yellow. Just play against all those decks a bunch. Just sit here and just play this deck against those 3 decks. Even Tarkin Yellow, if you think you're going to see a lot of that, just play against them consistently until you're like, I got this figured out, because that's what you need to do. Marauder is extremely important with, like, Sabine Yellow and Tarkin Yellow and even Boba as just a way to come in and deal with a threat. So that's another card that you have to time it right. It's also good for killing Red 3. So it was a lot of fun to play this. I really like this version. I wouldn't say this is like the complete optimal list, but it's really close to where I want it to be. Like I said, there's a possibility you need to bring in a 3rd Fel the Dragon. as Kira Green probably rises to the top here in the next coming weeks. But overall, I think this deck is incredible, and I think it has great matchups across the board. I would say just like test it out a ton against aggro, though you need to. You're gonna find that that matchup is a lot better, but you still need to test it out so you get a feel for when to, when to play Poe and Wrecker. You always want to save your ECL for Poe and Wrecker against aggro. You're just playing defense. You're trying to establish those early life gain units from turn 1 and on, because they all, Consortium Sundari are great turn 1 plays. Into another one, into an Echo or another Sundari, for example, is a great turn 2 play. You don't really care about ramp. I would rather keep life gaining units against those aggro decks over my ramp spells, so that I can just keep gaining subtle life while playing defense. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video and the updated deck. Definitely let me know what your thoughts are, or if you tried this version out, or when you do try this version out, let me know how it goes for you. But I think this is a strong contender. I just think you have to put in the time. But as always, y'all have a good one.